Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to the Kamenality, the world of Kamen America. In today's episode, we thought we'd throw you a curveball. We're covering a character who entered with a scream and left with a whisper. The heroic, weird, and misunderstood Florida Flork Ape. Who is he? What is he? And does this video really need a spoiler warning? If you've never read the Mr. Business storyline from the Flork of Cows webcomic, you may want to check out, because we will be discussing the end of that comic. And how exactly does the end of that comic relate to the development of the Florida Flork Ape? Well, in case you were curious, the career of the Florida Flork Ape was chronicled in the weekly web series Kamen America Gaiden, which you can read in both English and Japanese via the links in the description. Other than that, this video won't contain any spoilers worth worrying about. As usual, this video will consist of 3 parts: behind-the-scenes development, in-universe history, and powers and abilities. Now get ready, because we're about to knock your socks off.
お前はもう死んでいる。何?
Behind the scenes development. The Florida Flork Ape is a crossover character, co-developed by comic artist Flork of Cows. Chances are, during your journeys across the internet, you've encountered a Flork or two along the way. As for just what a Flork is, we'll let you hear the answer straight from the sock's mouth.
こんにちは。今日は牛のフロークの簡単な歴史について説明します。靴下人形をフィーチャーしたアメリカの人気ウェブコミックです。2012年にスタートした牛のフロークは MS ペイントのラフな絵で知られています。このウェブコミックは海外でも人気があります。フロークはハインツトマトケチャップ、タッパーウェア、ゲーマーサップ、ラフルポテトのライセンスを受けています。フロークはいくつかの仮面アメリカコミックにカメオキャラクターとして登場しています。この場合、仮面アメリカが腹話術で日本語を練習するたびにフロークが人形として使用されます。素晴らしい。
Flork of Cows also has a brand new YouTube channel. It's full of comic dubs, and we highly recommend you check it out and subscribe. In 2021, Flork of Cows contacted Timothy Lim and Mark Pellegrini with interest in doing a crossover comic. Flork developed the plot of the first crossover, with Mark writing the dialogue for the Kamen America characters. Flork drew the Flork Ape character, and then Tim drew the Kamen America characters around it. This first crossover was a simple gag comic, but in 2022, Flork pitched the idea of doing a longer and more dramatic crossover story. This led to the 5-part serial, which developed the character of the Florida Flork Ape. The second crossover was created in the same manner as the first, although now that the Florida Flork Ape could speak, his dialogue would be written by Flork of Cows. Although the Florida Flork Ape has not appeared since the second crossover, collaborations between Kamen America and Flork of Cows have continued. This includes the Florkalando Studios comic, which also guest-starred Florida Girl, a character created by Merryweather Comics. A Flork hand puppet appears alongside Kamen America during her VTuber escapades, and officially licensed Kamen America x Flork of Cows merchandise can be found through Kawa Entertainment. Flork of Cows also influenced development of one especially deep lore character within the Kamenality, Mighty Maiden Melon Honey. But we'll talk more about her in a future video. As for why this character is called the Florida Flork Ape, its name is a play on the cryptid known as the Florida Skunk Ape. The skunk ape is a Florida-specific offshoot of the Sasquatch and Bigfoot legends that are famous across America. A unique aspect of the skunk ape is its foul odor, the trait it shares with used socks. And that's all the behind-the-scenes content there is regarding the creation of the Florida Flork Ape. These collaborations were done more like fun jam sessions between the creators, which might account for their strange and silly content. But regardless, these stories are canon to the ongoing saga of Kamen America. But how did these stories play out? In-universe history. In Orlando, Florida, there are several competing theme parks. One of the most popular is Nyanfeld World, the favorite of Carly Vanders, aka Kamen America. But there is also a rival theme park called Florklando Studios, which is the favorite of Florida Girl because they allow alcohol on the premises. Attractions at Florklando Studios include Socks the Ride, the EBT Adventure, and Flork to the Future. Guests can also dine at themed restaurants such as Schmo's Tavern. Florklando Studios was developed by billionaire entrepreneur/philanthropist Mr. Business, who greets guests with a savory introductory video. While on an expedition to Tenochtitlan, Mr. Business sacrificed himself to Quetzalcoatl in order to return the vengeful god to its eternal slumber and save humanity. For this, and a few other reasons, Mr. Business became known as the coolest man who ever lived. Thanks to the visionary efforts of the late Mr. Business, Florks are recognized and beloved characters the world over. It seems that everyone, everywhere, knows what a Flork is, including Misha Lobakova, aka Kamen Comet. Shortly after being engulfed in the radioactive particles called chimeratons and joining the Common Core, Nisha visited Dr. Harper Gracie at Area 51 for a health exam. Dr. Gracie warned her that the chimeraton energies within her were still hot, and until they settled, could have unintended effects on animals and objects she made contact with. Nisha, only half listening, left her exam to meet Carly in Orlando. Inspired by the Florks, Nisha used her sewing skills to create a sock puppet in her own likeness, which she used to scare Carly in her hotel room. Carly, not realizing she'd been pranked, believed the sock puppet to be one of the many mud monsters she'd been fighting all over America, and dubbed it the Florida Flork Ape. Misha thought this was hilarious and never corrected her. While in Orlando, Carly met the state's most popular PPC, Florida Girl. Misha declined to join them on her tour of Florida's various attractions, which was a choice she'd soon regret, as she was left alone to fight the mud monster called Boom Tumor. Described as the asbestos assailant, Boom Tumor proved to be fireproof and beyond Misha's abilities to defeat alone. Unfortunately, even after calling Carly for backup, it didn't seem like help would arrive in time to save Nisha from the rampaging monster. And that's when Nisha was approached by her own sock puppet, now alive and calling itself the Florida Flork Ape. Nisha, not in the mood to deal with the strange creature or accept responsibility for creating it, immediately attempted to stop it to death. This allowed the sock puppet to slip itself onto her foot, which Misha didn't like at all, at least before she realized what the Flork Ape was trying to do. Having absorbed a high amount of chimeraton energy, the sock puppet had become a powerful battery. As Boom Tumor drew within striking distance, the Flork Ape channeled its store of energy into Nisha, powering her up. Together, Kamen Comet and the Florida Flork Ape unleashed a brand new special move. Kamen Combo, Flaming Flork Kick. Fireproof or not, Boom Tumor was unable to withstand the sheer force of the attack and was immediately blown to pieces. In the aftermath of the battle, Nisha recalled what Dr. Gracie had told her and accepted that she was indeed responsible for giving life to the Florida Flork Ape. Tragically, this realization came all too late, as the sod puppet began to burn to ashes on her foot. Nisha begged to know why the Flork Ape, not being fireproof, would sacrifice itself to save her. The Flork Ape did not elaborate, instead quoting the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy as it turned completely to ash. So long, and thanks for all the fish. A moment later, Carly arrived on the scene and asked Misha how she was able to defeat a fireproof monster all by herself. Sullenly, Misha corrected Carly and explained that she did not defeat the monster by herself. She had help from a friend. It would seem that Misha never did tell Carly the truth about the Florida Flork Ape, as she kept a photo of it on the map at her studio to track various unsolved monster encounters. Perhaps this was Misha's way of keeping her friend's memory alive, just a little bit longer.
ちょっと、冷静になりなよ。アニメのパワーなんてものは存在しないんだって。見てみ。
Powers and abilities. Although his time in the sun was short, the Florida Flork Ape exhibited several remarkable abilities. Kymeraton Energy Battery. Due to prolonged contact with Nisha, while the Kymeraton energy in her body was still unstable, the sock puppet that would become the Florida Flork Ape was able to absorb and contain a large amount of this energy. The energy would grant the Flork Ape a rudimentary form of intelligence, although the creature would mostly exist as an extension of Misha. As such, it sought her out to reconnect with her and return the energy it had borrowed. The ability to collect and contain Kymeraton energy has been documented in other rare cases. The legendary cryptid called the Thunderbird could absorb Kymeraton energy for use as a power source, and data collected from the Thunderbird would be used by Dr. Gracie to develop the Victory Armor and Victory Siphon. The Flork Ape's Kymeraton containment ability worked on much the same principle. What energy wasn't released during the final attack could be theorized to have been restored to Misha, where it belonged. Flaming Flork Kick. When two or more members of the Common Core combine their powers for a special attack, they perform what is known as a common combo. As an extension of Nisha's own energies, the Flork Ape qualified to perform a common combo. Channeling the Kymeraton energy stored within it into Nisha's leg, this supercharge allowed her to perform the Flaming Flork Kick. This proved to be one of Nisha's most powerful and devastating special attacks, absolutely destroying even a fireproof monster. Unfortunately, this was a one-shot special attack, as the energy was spent and the Flork Ape was reduced to dust in the wind. Have we really seen the last of the Florida Flork Ape? I mean, yeah, probably. It did disintegrate. But try to remember that the Flork Ape was always an extension of Nisha's energy. And when it burned up, the last of that energy was restored to her. And so the Flork Ape will always be a part of Misha, as energy, as memories, and as a friend. Thank you everyone for watching today's video. And thank you, Flork of Cows, for all the fun collaborations. The Kamenality is a weird world, and we're honored that Florks can be a part of it. Next time, we'll explore a wider aspect of the Kamenality with another universe video. But if there are any parts of the Kamen American universe you'd like to see explained, please drop us a comment. Thanks again for watching.
素晴らしい。